Coming to you live from the Santa Monica Mountains. It's me, Brandon, with things chiming in my computer. Hi, everybody. How you guys doing? How's everybody holding up out there? Checking out my hairy knee. His name is Harry. Yeah, welcome to our little Facebook Live session. I'm going to answer a bunch of questions that you guys typed in, and as you all know, we here at Incubus are celebrating the release of Trust Fall Side B, which came out on Friday, I think. What day is it? Do days even exist anymore? I know they don't matter anymore, but are we in agreement that like Thursday is purple and today is orange? Up is left, down is yellow. Yeah, I could get into this new normal. It's like everything's just thrown up into the air. Wow. I mean, there's so much we could talk about. I could show you all the weird books that I've collected over the years in this room that I'm sitting in. I'm just going to grab the first book that pops out at me. I'm going to close my eyes and grab it. I hope they don't come piling down on me. What did I grab? Oh, yes. My first edition copy of George Orwell's Animal Farm. It's a really good book. You guys should read it. Actually, this book is quite timely right now. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm such a book nerd. I even like the way it smells. So yeah, now that we've established that reading is fun, collecting books is fun, I will attempt to answer some of your questions that you guys sent in. I have them here. Pardon me while I enlarge them. Okay. Kayela Holly, is that how I say her name? Or Kay Lahali asks, can you tell the story of how you came up with your name? Also, how do you support each other as individuals when it gets tough when creating? Huge fan, Black Heart Fire. I'm going to be, just for the record, I'm going to be trying to describe people's emojis that they sent. So that was Black Heart Fire. All right, so can you tell me the story of how you came up with your name? You know, it would be cool if we got to choose our own names, but I'm pretty sure the day I was born, my parents named me Brandon, so I didn't have much say in the matter. I'm joking. I know what you mean. So when we started our band, Michael and Jose and I, we were all 15 years old. And if I'm remembering correctly, Michael and I were in a class together, and we were learning about certain myths, certain stories from time immemorial, and the word incubus came up. And both of us kind of, I think, individually got a little bit of like a ooh, cool word, you know, salacious. And then when it came time to decide what our band name was going to be, I think it was a little bit of remembering about, learning about that, and then also one of us may have just opened up the thesaurus and just put a finger down. So I wish I could say that there was kind of a deeper meaning behind it for us as a band, but it was more like 15 years old. That's a cool word. That should be our band. People will think we're cool. Yeah. Sorry, it's not a better story. And then she also asks, how do you support each other as individuals when it gets tough when you're creating? That's actually a really good question. We do our very best, I think, to hold space for each other creatively, because it's a very vulnerable thing to come up with an idea, come up with something from like nothing, and say, hey, how about this? How about this guitar riff, or how about this drum beat, or how about this lyric that I like, you know, I felt really strongly about when I wrote it down yesterday, and you're really running the risk of someone being like, that's dumb, stupid, what's wrong with you, you know? But that's not really how we operate in the band, though I'm sure occasionally the guys in the band have looked at me when I come with certain lyrics and they're like, dumb, you know, but they don't say that to me. I really know they don't like a lyric actually when they kind of just do one of these. What book is You know what I mean? But everybody in the band were all very, very supportive of each other. So we're very blessed in that regard. Thank you, Kayla Holly. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. So Ryan Clough asks, how do you stay positive and be inspired during a time when there's so much anxiety and negativity going around? Also a very good question. Um, the answer to this question, though, for me is sort of it's multi-layered, um, and for lots of reasons. You know, there are certain days when I wake up and there's a definite sense of um, sort of collective anxiety. I'm sure that everybody in the world is feeling, but then something happens to me in that realization that everyone in the world is experiencing the same and or similar uh, experience, that we're all having a shared experience here. And it is frightening, it is deeply uncertain, it can cause anxiety, but the fact that everybody in the world at the same time is having the same experience reminds me how um, together we are, how much we are really of an expression of one thing in a larger sense. Um, I've always been of the mind that our our sense of individuality, as important as that is, and as much as we should develop that, um, it's mostly an illusion. I think that we are more together, we are more the same, we are more one thing than we are separate from each other. And if this experience has taught me anything so far, it's definitely that. So that makes me feel a little bit better. And then on just a day-to-day basis too, I play my guitar, I work in my garden, I hang out with Bruce, the diapered demon. Been cooking a lot. I've been becoming a better cook. I've been writing a bunch of music, painting a whole lot, reading a whole lot. Um, yeah, and also having an incredible uh, sense of gratitude for our brothers and sisters out there who are still going to work, and like the people that are harvesting food that ends up on our table, and um, people that are working in warehouses and delivering the mail, and it's an incredible thing that they're still going to work, and they should all get incredible raises. That's my opinion. Anyway, next question comes from Bonbon74. Cool name. How do you create your playlists? How do some songs make the cut on certain tours and legs of tour? Hmm. Um, it's mostly based on a feeling, I suppose. This is a very touchy-feely job, being a musician or being an artist. And there's definitely some uh, danger in that. And it's sort of my job to be sensitive. It's our job to be uh, kind of like empathic in a way. And I'm digressing, but in answer to your question, Bonbon74, I just usually I kind of balance out how I'm feeling, how the guys are feeling in the band about what songs are exciting us, kind of collectively. With I balance those elements out with songs I know people really want to hear. So we aren't ignoring that entirely, but we can't let that dictate the approach entirely either. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And if there are certain songs we know people want to hear like really badly, and we're just like, we have to play that song again, kind of a thing, we do our best to reinvent the song so it becomes new for us again. And then sometimes cool things happen and it becomes new for you guys again too. Thanks, Bonbon74. I like saying your name. It's very futuristic. Stephanie Rakali asks, when writing, or producing music? Is the live experience, such as concerts, considered in the beginning of the music development process, or is it just the end result? Well, Stephanie, that's also a really interesting question. I would be lying to you if I said that the performance of songs or the understanding that we will be playing them in front of people uh, didn't come into our minds while we were creating the music. But we do our very best to not let that um, entirely dictate how songs are created and are produced. Um, Sometimes we completely throw the idea that we're going to have to play the song live out the window, and we just let a track be produced in the studio, and we'll build it up in the studio, and those songs end up being very different than the ones that we develop in the band room when we're all playing together. Um, so it's just different. It's a matter of how things are going that day, and I think one of the reasons why it's still fun to be in this band for me, I know, and I hope I'm speaking for the other guys as well, is that we don't necessarily hold to one methodology of songwriting or producing albums. We kind of run the gamut. We're down to try anything. We're we're like we're deeply curious songwriters and artists. We love to have the potential to stumble into novel territory when we're making music and when we're playing music too. So yeah. Wonderful Puddle. Pause. That's the best name so far. Wonderful Puddle asks, Brandon, what do you do to keep your voice in tip-top condition? Certain warm-ups or anything like that? And then as a kind of caveat to that question, Jay Buchari asks, which of your songs is the most challenging to play or sing live? So first and foremost, what do you do to keep your voice in tip-top condition? I don't really think about it like that anymore. I haven't for a long time. My voice is, I wouldn't consider it tip-top. I never have. You probably ask any person that like is a singer in the whole world, and they'll tell you that it's something that's almost constantly on their mind, even when they're not like actively performing. They're always kind of, it's like in the back of their head, like have the quality or the condition of their voice that day or the moment that you're asking them. And it's kind of annoying. It can get a little bit obsessive. We can obsess over, I can't do that. I got to sing, or I can't do this. I got to sing. And I've definitely been that person before. So I've done my best over the years to peel back as much of the accoutrement that I was told that I needed in order to be a good singer, to peel back tinctures and sprays and teas and things like that to keep my voice in good shape. And what I've done is work on my head instead. And I found that because singing is such a hard thing to perfect, it's a little bit like working in watercolor. It's like almost impossible to perfect. So you kind of have to learn to work with the mistakes. You have to learn to work with wherever you are in that given day. And I have sung my brains out under almost every conceivable atmosphere or condition or circumstance. The only times that I throw in the towel, like at the very end of the Make Yourself tour, the last two, I think it was two concerts that we had, the very last two, I was sick as a dog. I had just a terrible cold, and it turned into like an upper respiratory infection, and I was just like, there was just no sound coming out, and that's really the only time that I throw in the towel. Otherwise, I'll go up there, and there are enough people, some of you are listening right now, are watching, and who have seen us enough times that they've seen me through the kind of spectrum of the quality of my voice. And so when I say that I've spent more time now just working on my headspace around it, it means that I try to have a sense of humor about wherever it is that my voice is. And as we age, as you know, our voices change, and so it's like an adaptive process as well. So, which of your songs is most challenging to play and sing live? There are a bunch. Oh, I showed my boobie, sorry. There are a bunch. Most of them are actually pretty challenging, I have to say. I don't even know where to begin. I don't actually want to tell you because then you'll know if you see us play it. Like this one's really hard for him. Onward. Matt Baker Music asks, did you guys work with a producer on this EP? I know you do a lot of the producing yourselves, but what influence have producers had on your music over the years? Thanks, Matt Baker Music. We actually worked with Brendan O'Brien on this EP. Brendan O'Brien produced A Crow Left of the Murder and Light Grenades and If Not Now When and a handful of other stuff. Brendan O'Brien also produced and he and I wrote together my solo record, Sons of the Sea. So we have a long history with Brendan and we love him dearly. And we knew he was the right guy to work with on this new EP. That being said, some of the songs were already kind of written when we came in with him. So Brendan ended up kind of coming in as the kind of the sixth brain at the last minute to kind of just like tighten up the edges. And then of course he mixed it as well. So his mixing is world famous. Linda Booya, hi Linda, asks, what is the very first thing you're going to do when this pandemic is over? That's a good question. So I don't know if you guys are, first of all, there's so many things I miss so much. Like the past couple of weeks, my phone sends me like these memories things in iPhoto, and I have literally thousands of pictures from being on tour. Some of them are pictures I've taken, some of them pictures that like Andy, our tour photographer, or Jules, our last tour photographer, have taken. And they come up and it's like all these like incredible moments of us with you guys all over the world. And I definitely miss playing concerts. And so I'm hoping that as soon as it's safe to get a bunch of you into places where we can be sweaty together and rub up against each other appropriately and sing songs. I'm very much looking forward to that. But what I was going to say before was that here in California, you're not allowed to go surfing. So it's like the stuff of legend right now. There are places that I grew up surfing that are some of the best surf spots in the world. Like Malibu is considered one of the best waves on the whole West Coast. And it is the weirdest, most beautiful, most bittersweet thing to go for a drive and see this iconic place with perfect surf happening. And if you paddle out, you'll get arrested and fined $1,000. And so I've been asking myself recently, like, God, would it be worth $1,000 and spending an afternoon in a holding cell to like get to surf Malibu alone? So to answer your question, Linda, I'm very much looking forward to going surfing as well. Let's see here. Answer some more of these questions. Nicoletta asks, Brandon, you are a man of many creative talents. Thank you. With that, what is your preferred creative outlet for when you are feeling low, and which when you are feeling your best? Any talents we haven't witnessed? Thank you, Nicoletta. My preferred creative outlet for when I'm feeling low. I suppose writing. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that feeling. Those of you that like journal or write or spill your thoughts into a diary, it's I think most of us don't do it as much when we're feeling good. When we're feeling good, we're off doing other things. It's when we're feeling low or embittered or depressed that we kind of dive into these very, very personal spaces. And it does have a kind of creativity to it. That being said, though, I write music and I paint under any and all conditions. So that's why I suppose some of our songs come out happier and some of them come out a little bit more melancholy. Any talents we haven't witnessed? I don't know. We'll see. I've definitely become a better cook during this quarantine. I don't know if I could call it a talent though. I basically eat like a hippie caveman. All right, thank you, Nicoletta. Uh, Tbot underscore oneer, also a cool name. Hi guys, does the lockdown have an effect on your writing process? Does it make it easier or more difficult to find inspiration now that the earth almost stopped spinning? That's a good question. I suppose we should ask the other guys at some point how that's going. I suppose I can only speak for myself. I've learned to write, like I was saying just before. I've learned to write under all kinds of conditions. Granted, this situation is quite novel. I've never experienced anything like it. I hope we never have to again. Um, but it's creating new ways of looking at songs and looking at paintings and playing music. So it affects it, yes, and I think it is yet to be seen whether it's a good or a bad thing. Um, let's see. Facebook questions. Tracy Mondragon. Dude, you guys all have amazing names. I feel like my name is so boring. Uh, Tracy asks, question for Brandon. Firstly, I absolutely loved y'all's Lithium takeover this weekend on SiriusXM. Thank you. It was so interesting to hear the stories and emotion behind your love for other bands. My question is, what do you consider the most influential band artist to you personally? Or what is the one artist band you could listen to on repeat and never tire of? I don't think that there is one band that is the most influential to me, one band or artist. Uh, that would be impossible to answer that question accurately. I am hugely affected by music and by art and by literature, and um, they all have sort of subtly different effects on me, and they have over the years. But I know that I'm really inspired by the kind of music and the kind of writing and the kind of art and photography and filmmaking that is coming out right now. So, yeah, that's a huge question. I don't even know where to begin. But thank you, Tracy. Abby Gatlin asks, Brandon, what do you do to decompress during times of challenge or uncertainty? How do you find your center? How do I answer this question? I mean, I've been asked versions of this question before, and my go-to answer usually is I have a meditative practice or a number of meditative practices that I um, kind of instinctually go to. I don't even really like think about them in a matter of like, oh, it's time to meditate or it's time to do this or that activity. What I've attempted to do in my life is build out environments around me and near me that are conducive to a meditative experience, or one that is a centering or balancing experience. So even my time that I spend painting or songwriting, or really anything I'm doing, it comes down to being able to sort of drift seamlessly between those environments. And sometimes the activities themselves are meditative. So the experience for me of painting is very much like a meditation. It's like a moving meditation. And it definitely helps me stay centered and with a feeling of balance. I hope that answer made sense. I'm not sure it did. Okay, thank you, Abby. Jorge Marquez asks, how did you decide between making a full album and making an EP when the band has songs already in mind? By the way, Trust Fall Side B is awesome. Thank you, Jorge. If you guys haven't heard already, or if you haven't already listened to it, we have a new EP out. It's called Trust Fall Side B. And the decision to make it an EP as opposed to a full-blown album was born of the, I suppose, the notion that we had started a thought in 2014, 2015 with Trust Fall Side A, and we always intended on kind of completing that circle with a Trust Fall Side B. So we put out side A, went on tour, came home, wrote a full length record, put that out, went on tour around the world, came home, and then started writing music that would become Trust Fall Side B. And towards the end of the writing process, I really wanted it to be the kind of completion of that thought. So going into it, I think we knew it was going to be an EP, given like certain time restraints, and then we knew we wanted to go back on tour as soon as we could. So yeah, yeah. This is a really good book, by the way, by Michael Pollan. You know, it also is a really good book. So many good books. I don't even know where to begin. I'm forgetting that I'm live here. Brittany Hayden asks, "Hey B, hi Brittany. If you had the opportunity to give the younger version of yourself advice, what would you tell him?" I'd say, don't listen to that old guy. Jason Oki asks, "How many times have you been stung by a bee?" Is that a metaphor? Not that many, knock wood. Where I live, I've actually spent the past few years when I've been home uh, planting uh, things that would attract pollinators. And so I'm surrounded by bees. I walk around my my place here, it like hums. It sounds like a gazillion tiny ohms happening. And it's kind of amazing. But they don't sting me. In my sort of deeper uh, self-centered moments, I like to think that it's because I'm pure of heart. Now I'm gonna get stung today for sure. I'm knocking wood like crazy. Christine Reif asks, "What's the first thing you crave slash eat after coming home from a long tour?" I can't say here. Let's see. I'm gonna take a few more. Brandon, "I've been using my quarantine time to focus on my yoga practice and being present with my dogs. Here is Elvis sunbathing whilst I am yogaing, keeping a close eye on me under the bed. Since pups' lives are so much shorter than ours, I really wanted to take in every moment of being home with him during this time. What fun things have you been doing to connect with your cuties during this time?" It's a really cute picture. From Danielle Shrestha. I'm sure you guys have met Bruce over whether on my Instagram or at some events that I've brought him to. This is actually not an exaggeration. He might be the oldest living Frenchie. So he's a French bulldog, and he is about to enter his 15th year. I looked up online. I tried to do some research. Maybe some of you out there might know, and if you do, please get in touch with me. The oldest Frenchie that I could find lived for 14 years and 3 months. Bruce will be 15 in June. So what have I been doing to connect with him? Spending a lot more time with him, and he spends a lot of time with me, but yeah, he and I are pretty much attached at the hip. As also some of you know, Bruce stopped walking about 3 years ago, and so he kind of mermans around the house, and he wears a diaper, And he's a very special needs dog, so he needs a lot of love and attention. But I'm happy to give it to him. And another wonderful thing about um, this time at home has really just been to be able to be with him much, much more at this kind of like late stage of his life. So I'm doing my best to steward him as he slowly mermans into the sunset. Um, I say that with a little bit of a pain in my heart, but you know how close we can get to our little fur babies. But he's an amazing little dude, and he has like a young female Chihuahua slash pug that he hangs out with now too. Her name is Billy, and I think she might be one of the reasons that Bruce is still alive. Billy, the girl, every time she comes back inside from running around outside, the first thing she does without fail is she mounts Bruce's face. So she like face humps him, and he loves it. He loves it. Yeah. um, I should probably end right there, but I'm gonna look. I'm gonna see if I missed anything. Uh, hmm. Coldest of Weapons asks, "What has been inspiring or uplifting for you during these strange times?" Sorry if I already answered this question. I don't think I did. Um, yeah, quite a lot. It's been incredible to witness so much solidarity, I suppose, for want of a better term. That's a very overused term. But um, yeah, I spoke to it a little bit earlier, but that feeling of being in something together with everyone is it's frightening for all the obvious reasons, and it's anxiety making once again for all the obvious reasons. But um, it is a very clear reminder that we are together in this, and we're always together. You know what I mean? Um, Pandemic or not, uh, whether we're from the same town or country or team or not, I think that there's the tendency to want to tribalize, and some of the lesser minds in charge are kind of stoking some of those fears and insecurities. Um, but there is also the opportunity to uh, recognize some more unifying elements of this. Um, at the very least, the potential for unifying elements in this. And so that definitely lifts me up for sure. And I encourage everyone to uh, stay safe and practice that good hygiene. Boy, who'd have thunk, huh? Uh, Call 5 people, call 10 people, utilize these amazing resources that we have technologically, and reach out to people that you love and stay in touch with them and use this opportunity to the best of your ability. Um, yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I'll see you real soon. Peace. I don't know how to leave this thing, so it's probably going to be like a long, slow goodbye. Don't know how to leave. I can't leave you.